Hello everyone and welcome back to Expletives Included for another Vlogmas special. I think when I last did a vlog I started somewhere and I kind of didn't follow through. I said that I would come back to it later, and I think I was talking about just, essentially I think I was saying it's like maybe I'm the one at fault, maybe I'm the bad D&D player here. Because I think like everyone else is having fun with the game that I'm in, like the guy who's, flipping the bird to Demogorgon and riding on Elvish Lords. Not in a fun way. Not in that way. He's having fun. The DM seems to be enjoying it and he's having fun. He's worried that, he's got usual anxieties about stuff. And then like my other friend who kind of organised the whole thing, I think the guy who's won't act things out, who'll just kind of say that he's rolling dice, he's having fun, and I'm just being the kind of the stick in the mud, the rules lawyer, as it were. So everyone's kind of going around having fun, playing the game, and I'm just like, that's not what it says in the book, that's not how things work, that's not the way you should be doing things, and it's, I suppose like being unkind to myself is like saying that I'm kind of unflexible. I'm not kind of just moulding myself into this group that is less rulesy, I guess, than I'm used to, less kind of stringent, less rules to help enforce the fun. And I'm not sure if that's like a good or a bad thing, just kind of trying to get people to play D&D the right way. So, I'm actually trying to get them to act things out, actually trying to get people to adhere to the rules, because it feels like, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, we're playing like a set game. Why, if you're just going to kind of dick around and not kind of know the rules or not adhere to the rules or not kind of do any of this stuff, then why even play D&D? Why not just kind of get together and just kind of say, hey, we're going to go make believe for a couple of hours? Because that's essentially, it feels like that's essentially what's happening. There's no structure. There's just like there's the campaign setting. But yeah, if you're not gonna adhere to the rules, and it's well, I don't know. It's a bit weird because, like I said, I'm not used to this kind of style of play. I'm not used to kind of not having this framework. I know it's the joke. Like, if you're gonna, you have rules to help control the fun, which is kind of an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. They're contradictory things. But with D&D, I think that it's D&D. You have rules. Rules are there for a reason, and that's because you're playing a game. You can't play like a Final Fantasy game and just kind of, well, you're never going to complain that you can't play Final Fantasy and then kind of just dick around. The rules are kind of like set. The rules are set in the world. It's how you play the game. It's the programming. It's essentially like you're ignoring the programming of D&D, which, again, like some people would object to, I guess, because it's always like said, like the rules of D&D, the books, they're not rules, they're more guidelines. It's like you can always do homebrew, always kind of change things that you don't think work. But it feels like too much of that stuff is being thrown out the window. I've kind of invested time kind of building a character to fit within these rules. I've spent time kind of playing this game assuming that it's going to adhere to these rules, and they don't. So I feel like I'm like very much so the odd one out. So I've come to a game of football and apparently now we're playing rugby, but no one's told me, and I'm still assuming that we're playing football. And then I kind of don't understand why no one's playing by the rules of football. This is kind of not really going anywhere. I think last time I had a bit more structure because I knew what I was talking about, but just kind of like, how important is it to be flexible in D&D? Because, or any kind of pen and paper role-playing game, because, you know, like I said, it's like the rule book it's kind of like the programming of the game, and you don't just kind of go against that, because then you're kind of going against the game. And I suppose it's all just kind of personal conjecture. What do you think is the most important thing? If the most important thing is, you know, just to have fun, then I suppose I need to be more flexible, but the way that I have the most fun is by kind of sticking to these rules. So again, it's very personalised. If you think that it is kind of just about having this epic adventure, then yeah, like there's gonna be rules. There's rules in the real world, rules in nature and whatever, and you can't just kind of go around doing whatever you please because there are rules. So again, in that case, follow the rules because they're there. Because otherwise you're not actually playing the game. You're just playing make-believe. I was going somewhere with that. I'm sure that my point is full enough. I really haven't said all that much. I'm not sure what I was trying to go for. Just that it's weird. It's weird being in a game where you're kind of the odd one out. It's weird being in a game where you want to kind of have everything kind of done a set way and people aren't doing that. I guess maybe that's why I kind of jumped a bit too readily at the chance to take over from the DM, even if it was just a joke on their part or my part or whatever. Just, it's like, you're not adhering to the rules. If I was in charge, then you would adhere to the rules. And because I think the rules are an important part. That's why you have rule books. That's why you have sources. That's why you kind of go to double check things. You don't know how something works and you don't kind of bumble around thinking, ooh, I don't know what to do. You check the rule book. Everyone has one. That's what they're there for. And it's weird. Again, because it's just kind of an alien concept. It's what they're used to and it's not what I'm used to. And I feel I've kind of postulated just kind of leaving the group because we are kind of both trying to get very different things out of the game, I think. What I'm trying to get out of it is like a epic tale of high adventure. And that's where I derive my fun, whereas these guys are just dicking around and that's where they get their fun. But I kind of feel it's not awful. It's still fun to kind of go, but it's just I do kind of like after every game we've had, both games, I've kind of come home thinking, right, I need to check this because this just doesn't seem right. I need to double check this because, you know, this is wrong, or like, I know this is wrong, but now I just need to find it in the book to kind of prove it to myself. That's kind of like how I've always come away from these games, and that's not kind of how I want to come away from games. So I'm not sure really what I want to do to progress this, because like I said, we're kind of both going into this one thing trying to get different things out of it. It's like a bad relationship. You love the idea of it, and you're kind of both very different people, but you know, you do like each other, but it's just not working out. Something about it's not right, and you just can't bring yourself to terminate the relationship because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to kind of abandon them. It's messy. It's not good. So I guess this episode has just been a brief insight into the expansive, muddled mess that is my mind when I'm trying to kind of justify something in my mind, when I'm trying to convince myself of something. These are the kind of thought processes that I go through. I kind of go back and forth. This is why I can't kind of write novels, because I'll think, this, and then that goes on to this, and then, I can go back to like that point that I made earlier and change it. And I'll go forward, and I'll change that, and I'll kind of go back again, and then I'll kind of re-go through everything. My mind is a mess, and I can't be creative because of it, because it's too creative. Let's go with that. Thank you for watching. You honestly didn't have to. This should have just been left at the wayside. See you again in a couple of days.